everybody, welcome to my channel. I will be posting videos, hopefully weekly, twice a week maybe, on Ellen Miles, the puppy place. Today we will be reading Goldie. And also, before we start, what type of dog do you all think Goldie is? Just put it in the comment section below and make sure to like and subscribe. Charles woke up with a bad feeling in his stomach. Why? For a minute he couldn't figure it out. Then he rolled over and looked at his clock. It was 3:46 a.m. and Charles could hear the loud diddle-diddle-dee, diddle-diddle-dee of his dad's pager going off. Mr. Peterson was a fireman. When his pager went off, there was a fire somewhere in town. Charles listened to his dad's footsteps going downstairs, and then he heard the slam of a truck door and an engine starting up. He lay there for a while, worrying a bit. He decided to stay awake until his dad came home. But he must have fallen asleep, because when he woke up again, the sun was shining, and his clock said it was 7:16. Charles rubbed his eyes and climbed out of bed. Then he raced down to the kitchen and looked out the window. Dad's red pickup truck was not in the driveway. Mum was making French toast while the Bean, Charles's little brother, crawled around on the floor by her feet. The smell of cinnamon made Charles's mouth water. "Is Dad?" Charles began. "Dad's fine," Mum said. He called a little while ago. There was a big fire, but everyone is okay." Charles let out a big breath. It was cool to have a fireman, Dad, but scary sometimes too. "He'll be home soon," Mum told Charles. "Where was the fire?" asked Lizzie, scuffing her slippers as she shuffled into the kitchen. She rubbed her eyes and yawned. Ugh. Lizzie was Charles's older sister. It always took her a long time to wake up. "Out in a farm at Middleton." Mum said. At this, Lizzie's eyes popped open. "Were any animals hurt?" Mum shook her head. "I don't think so." She flipped a slice of French toast. "Set the table, okay?" Mum asked. That proved everything was okay. What could be more normal than doing chores? Since there was no reason to worry, Charles decided to ask his favourite question, the one he asked every single morning. "So why can't we have a dog?" He asked. His mother sighed. "Again?" She pulled the orange juice out of the fridge and filled 4 glasses and the Bean's purple sippy cup. "Do we have to talk about this every day, Charles?" "Only until we get a dog," Lizzie said with a sleepy smile. "First we said we couldn't have a dog because our apartment was too small," Charles reminded his mum. "Then we moved to this big old house and now there is plenty of room." He followed Lizzie around the table, putting a fork onto every napkin she laid down. "But instead of adopting a dog, we adopted the Bean." Charles looked down at the Bean. Sometimes Charles could hardly remember the Bean's real name. It was Adam. But they had called him the Bean ever since he came to live with them when he was a tiny squirmy baby. "Just a little Bean," Mr. Peterson had said, and the name had stuck. The Bean grinned up at Charles and made a little woofing noise. Even though he thinks he's a dog, he's not. He's just a kid who likes to crawl on the floor, beg for food, and sleep on a fleece dog bed, and carry his stuffed toys in his mouth. "It's a phase," their mum said, the way she always did. "He'll get it over by the time he's 17, Charles finished, the way their dad always did. It was their dad's favourite joke. Their mum didn't think it was so funny. "Anyway," Charles continued, "back then you said a baby and a dog were too much at once. You said we had to wait until the Bean was older. Well, now he is. He's not a baby anymore." "No, he's not," agreed his mother, just a little sadly. She loved babies and kittens, but just not puppies. Mr. Peterson always joked about his wife being a cat person, not a dog person. Mrs. Peterson always said she didn't see anything wrong with that. She'd grown up with cats and she was used to cats. But the other family members were not interested in cats. The rest of the family loved dogs. "So why can't we get a puppy?" Charles and Lizzie asked together. "Jinx," Charles said to Lizzie. me a favour. You clean the table after we eat. Lizzie stuck out her tongue. Charles grinned. He always said things first. We will have a puppy, their mother had said. Someday, when the time is right and the puppy is right. But when will that be? When I'm 17? Sometimes he'd felt as if he'd waited forever for a dog. It wasn't fair. Everybody else had dogs, and no one wanted one more than Charles, Lizzie, and the Bean. Nobody would take better care of a dog, would teach it as many great tricks, or love it as much as they would. We'll know. When the time is right, we'll know. She had that tone in her voice, the tone that meant it was time to change the subject. But Lizzie didn't seem to notice. If we had a dog, we'd all feel better, she said. Didn't you know that dog owners are happier, healthier, and more relaxed than people that don't have dogs? Plus, having a dog teaches kids responsibility. And a dog can help protect the house and save people from fires. Enough! Mum held up both hands, she cried. I've heard all your facts before, Lizzie, and I know that they're all true. I also know that puppies are a lot of work and can cause a lot of mess and trouble. She turned back to the skillet on the stove. Charles knew what she was thinking. Dogs shed fur all over the place, they chew things, they knock over garbage cans, they bark. There was lots of reasons for not getting a dog. Mum didn't even have to spell it out anymore. This time even Lizzie seemed to understand that the subject was closed. She slid into her seat and picked up the newspaper. Cool, Mum, she said. Your story about the school board meeting is on the front page. I bet Mr. Baker will ask me to write about this fire wherever it was. Mr. Baker was the editor of the Littleton News and Mrs. Peterson's boss. She wiped her hands on a towel. I'll give him a call as soon as your dad gets home. She looked at the clock. I'm surprised Dad's not here already. I guess we better start breakfast without him, or you two will be late for school. I hope he gets here before we go, said Charles. Mum piled 2 plates with French toast and brought them to the table. Then she cut up another piece and put the Bean's plate on the floor next to Charles's feet. Charles had noticed that she had given up on making the Bean sit in his high chair. Maple syrup? She asked, passing the bottle to Charles. Charles poured a big glug of syrup onto his toast. Then he remembered his new joke. Charles told one almost every morning. Hey, knock knock, he said. What's the syrup? Said Mum. You're supposed to say, who's there? He reminded her. Then he looked down at his plate. Oops, the syrup had practically drowned his plate. Mum sighed and held out her hand for the bottle. Who's there? She asked. The interrupting cow. Moo! Mum began, but before she could finish, Charles jumped in. The interrupting moo! Get it? The interrupting cow? He cracked up. Charles had only taken 1 bite of his breakfast when he heard Dad's pickup pull up into the driveway. A minute later, Dad trudged into the kitchen. His shoulders were slumped, his face was smudged with soot, and his hair was all flattened from being under his helmet. Dad! Cried Lizzie, jumping up to hug him. Hey, Pumpkin, he said tiredly. Charles noticed a big bulge beneath his dad's jacket. What's that? He asked, pointing. Then he noticed that the bulge was moving. Charles came closer. The bulge was squiggling and squirming all over the place. Dad smiled and pulled the zipper of his coat down a few inches. Meet Goldie, he said. Charles saw 2 chocolate brown eyes, a pair of floppy ears, a twitchy black nose, and a furry golden face, all streaked with soot. A puppy! Charles yelled. That is the end of chapter 1. Hopefully you like this video, and make sure to put what type of dog you think Goldie is down in the comment section. And in next video, I will do a shout out to all the people who got it right. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoy it, and see you next time. Bye.